Hello and welcome everyone to a brand new tutorial here on my channel. Today I'm going to show you how you can play Metal Gear Solid 3 on the Xenia Emulator for Xbox 360. Speedrunners have voted and tested, and now it's official. Metal Gear Solid 3 can also be speedrun on this emulator, making this game fully viable for an all PC trilogy run, for example, or just playing in general, just on PC. And today I will show you how you can download everything that you need and how to set up this emulator so it works well. There are a few limitations and rules that we need to apply, but especially the first part, if you just want to play the game on PC, that also will cover all your needs. In the second part, we'll also go over the specific things that speedrunners have to do in order to be speedrun legitimate. And of course, last but not least, we're going to also have a little bit of fun and testing. Alright, let's get ready to set everything up. Alright, the first thing that we need is the so-called Xenia Emulator. This is an emulator that was developed in order to emulate Xbox 360 games. It's available for free under the Xenia.jp website. You can get it here under the download section and just download the master. Alternatively, you can also go on GitHub for the project and scroll down on the main page. And then go here to Windows and latest. However, updates for Xenia main are not that often, and we found that sometimes you can have like small benefits coming from the so-called Xenia Canary release branch. This can only be found on GitHub and is basically just something like a preview. It is still Xenia on its own, as you can see, but you can get newer features already in this new branch, versus the master branch, which is just called Xenia, will only have updates every now and then, but those are tested. So be aware, if you go and download Xenia Canary, it can have new features, but they can also lead to problems. In my personal testing, the latest release from Xenia that was uploaded is actually quite stable. If you want to make speedruns with Xenia, you have to use the Xenia Canary mode. So be aware what you intend to do with Xenia. There's also one more program that we need before we can get started, and that is the so-called Xbox 360 ISO Extractor. This little program can also be downloaded for free. And of course, all the links that are featured here will be in the video description down below. You need this program because you cannot just insert the ISO file into the emulator and then have the game run. In order to get the sub-games like Metal Gear Solid 2 and Metal Gear Solid 3 outside of the ISO, you need to use this extractor. Alright, let's get set up here. I have everything downloaded already. On my left you see Xenia Master, Xenia Canary, Metal Gear Solid HD Collection, Disc 1, which has Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3. And just for fun, I'm also going to show you quickly how you can do the same thing for Peace Walker, which is Disc 2. The PlayStation 3 release had everything on one big Blu-ray, but for the HDC on Xbox there were actually two discs being made. So Peace Walker is only on disc 2. Last but not least, there's also the ISO Extractor. You need a program like WinRAR in order to download and open these files, which you can get for free. Let's begin with the setup. I'm going to open this Xenia Master zip, which I downloaded from the website. As you can see here, there's only 3 files in there. I'm going to go on my desktop and make a new folder here. And yes, I'm on Windows 10. If you're on Windows 11, the steps are exactly the same. The majors look a little bit different from the UI. I'm going to call this just Xenia. Double click and open the Xenia folder here, and then go into your zip program like WinRAR. And you can go and just copy Xenia exe and Xenia PDB. Drag them over, and there we go. You can close the file, and now you can work with only inside the folder. Just go to Xenia exe, and yes, Windows will give you this warning here. Go to More Info, and say run anyway. Just wait here, and as you can see, this window is opened. In the top bar of the window, you can see what branch name it was used and what date it was exported. So I'm running here on this May 5th version. The menu here for Xenia is sadly not very helpful because the settings aren't even in here. The settings are in a completely different file outside of this program. I'm going to show you what happens if you were to try and open just the ISO. I'm going to use the ISO for disc 1, drag it over, and let go on top of the window of Xenia. It will automatically boot the game, and it actually goes into the first menu, as you can see here. Only problem is, if you were to go and try to open Metal Gear Solid 3 now, and start the game, the program has crashed. And that's why we need the ISO Extractor for. Because this first file here is basically one game, and then Metal Gear Solid 3 and 2 are also separate games that we need to extract. And now let's extract Metal Gear Solid 3 and 2 from this disc 1 with ISO Extract. So let me close quickly Xenia for a while. I'm going to move it over to the side here. open ISO Extract. An ISO Extract already comes with its own folder. You don't need to make a new one, just pick it up and put it next to Xenia, for example. Inside ISO Extract, you find the main file that we need. That is the Xbox 360 ISO Extract.exe. Just double click that, and then you see the window that we need here. So, in order to get to the ISO folder, we're just going to choose the ISO folder on the button. In my case, that is straight at the desktop. Now the program has already found, I see there are 2 ISO files and list them here for me. Now we're going to also insert the destination. Thankfully, we don't need to type it in. We can just go to choose destination on the button. And then since we're on desktop, I can just click make new folder, and then we can see it already popping up here. You can just extract them in this new folder, but I like a little bit of sorted stuff. So I'm going to just call it MGS HDC for HD collection. And it also gets renamed here. Hit OK, and now we set our ISO folder and our destination. And then you can just click the Go button, and the program will go through all of the files in the ISO and export them for us, so we can use them in Xenia. This might take a while, so just be patient. Alright, the extraction is done. We can now close the program. And as we open here in our little folder, we see, in this folder, there's a new folder called Desktop. That's where the ISO files have been put. And if we double click it here, we can find, that's where we have Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 now. Now, Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker has not been exported like that. And that's basically because it can only do one disk at a time. As we see here, when we click Go button, desktop will be skipped is already in C. So we have to just use another destination. I'm going to once again make a new folder and call this MGS3PW for Peace Walker. Now this folder is here, I can hit Go. And now Peace Walker will be extracted into this MGS3PW folder. Once we can see here, it's finished. We're good to go. Now inside of these folders, there's both times the desktop folder. That's basically just where the ISOs were originally coming from. You can open these, you can select all the files by hitting Ctrl and A, for example, and then Ctrl X to cut them and put them in the main folder. We do not need this desktop folder. Same thing also goes for Peace Walker. Select our files and put them in here, deleting the desktop folder. As we can see now, we have both times and default XEX, and in the case of HDC, we also have the MGS2 and MGS3 XEX files. These XEX files are the ones that you have to launch with Xenia. And there's a cool thing you can do in Windows where if you just want to launch the game right away, you can right click it and go to Open With. I've already done that here. As you can see, I have a version linked to this file type with Xenia Canary. But if I want to choose, for example, now Xenia Master that we just put out, we can just go to More Apps, scroll all the way down and look for another app on this PC. It's very important when you have selected Xenia to also check, always use this app to open XEX files. It will open up all the files that I have. I'm going to go to Desktop and Xenia and select the Xenia.exe and say Open. Right away, Xenia will open in this master version, as we can see on top of the date, May 5th. And it will actually launch right away into Metal Gear Solid 3 now without the pre-selection menu. But yeah, that is everything you need in order to run Metal Gear Solid 3 on your PC. Simply get either Xenia versions, extract the ISO and its XEX files, put them together, and then you can launch Metal Gear Solid 3 on your PC now. But if you want to speedrun Metal Gear Solid 3, there's a few extra limitations. In order to meet these limitations, we have to go with a specifically Xenia Canary version. This Xenia Canary build is a little bit advanced, as it has extra options that we can set with this Xenia Canary Config TOML, which is basically a settings file. In this config file, there's a setting for vsync, and this vsync setting determines how fast the internal update logic works. So currently it's set to 60 milliseconds. Every 60 milliseconds there's an update, and you can even turn it off to be unlimited. And it then will run literally unlimited. The games will run super fast. In order to prevent this, we have set for speedrunning, you need Xenia Canary and use this config file, which you can get on the Metal Gear Solid 3 speedrun resources page. In here, we can download from Nick Green the Xenia Canary config file. So just download that here and get it from his Google Drive. Simply place the setting file here, and you can then have it run at the specified speeds. It has already the settings being set correctly here to vsync true and vsync interval 16. Let's try it out. I'm going to set it to false. Save. And if I open Xenia now and load MGS3, the game will run hilariously fast. As we can see here, once I launch into the MGS3 menu, we see if you have VSync turned off and the PC can use maximum resources for the game, it's at hyper speed. Like I can't even select very easy, for example, here.
After the end.
This is the reason why, especially for speedrunning, we have limited the speed that this game can run. We've said that you have to set this VSync rate to 16 FPS. We have said that you have to limit Xenia to 60 milliseconds. Like, look at how fast he's going here. That's ridiculous. That doesn't make any sense. It should be linked to 60 FPS. The best thing we have is setting it to 16 milliseconds. So if I open the file again, and I set VSync now to true, save, it will run at slightly faster than 60 FPS, because 60 frames per 1000 milliseconds, or 1 second, is actually 16.66666 and onwards. But we can only go with full numbers, so it's only 16 or 17. If you set it to 17, it will run at slightly slower than 60 FPS. If you set it to 16, it will run at slightly faster than 60 FPS, which is preferable. For speedrunning, we also say that we have to limit the FPS to 60 with an external program. So actually this too fast value will be set slower again to match 60 FPS. But in order so it can hit 60 FPS, it needs to be slightly faster. And that's why VSync interval is set to 16 here. If I open the game again, you can see it's now loading much slower and also runs at the proper speed. There we go. And now Snake runs at the proper speed for 60 FPS. Basically, the only thing that's really important is the settings file. In the settings file here, go to VSync at line 268 here, and set it to true and the VSync interval to 16. That will ensure that the game runs at slightly faster than 60 FPS, and it will also not use more resources than necessary in order to have good performance. Once it is set, and we have launched Metal Gear Solid 3, for the speedrun leaderboards, we also need to limit the FPS to 60, and we also need to show the FPS. Now there's multiple ways how we can do that, so I'm going to show you a handful of them. The first program that I personally like to use is called RivaTuner Statistics Server. You can get it for free here on the Guru 3D website. It's a free download, install it, and then when you have it installed, you can double click it here and have it run. Now the program will launch here in your taskbar, so get it out. And if you've not set it up here, I'm just going to delete my version, for example. You only have global. So I'm going to add a new exe, go to the desktop where Xenia Canary is located, and add the exe file. Now that this exe file is in here, we can then go and set the frame rate limit to 60. Enter. In order to show the FPS, we need to go here and set it to on. And we can already see, there's the FPS number in the corner. You can also drag this little slider here and make it even bigger. And once you let go, you see, this is even better. This is, for example, an FPS value that I would recommend using because it's relatively big and verifiers can also easily see it on the video screen. And that's basically all you need to do with RTSS. But there is a bug that's very important. If you want to use it in conjunction together with Livesplit and the Autosplitter, you have to open Xenia, RTSS and Livesplit in a specific order. But we're going to talk about Livesplit in just a second. I'm going to show you an alternative how you can limit the FPS without using RTSS. Just to have it set already, if you run into the bug that the Autosplitter doesn't react because you have launched Xenia and RTSS in different order, you can just close RTSS, then launch Livesplit and then RTSS again, and that should work. Another way to track at least the FPS and to show it is Steam, which you can download for free, of course. The link is in the video description for that. If you open Steam, you can also add Xenia as a third-party game. Go to Add Game and add a non-Steam game. There's a lengthy selection here. I'm just going to go to Browse and go to Desktop, Xenia Canary, and add the exe file here. See, there it's checked. I can add selected programs. If I go here, I have Xenia Canary. Actually, I've already added it once. As you can see, it's here. And then make sure go to Steam, Settings, and then under in-game, you can see there's an in-game FPS counter. You can set it, for example, to top left. And I would recommend also setting the high contrast color. Go to OK, and launch Xenia through Steam. There we go. Now Xenia has been launched through Steam. And we can open the MGS3 file again. And now when actually MGS3 is being loaded here, we can see, there we go. Our Steam overlay is already active here. It's sadly relatively small, and that's why I prefer RTSS, because you can change the size of RTSS. There's a setting where you can change the FPS counter from Steam, but it's not optimal really. But what Steam actually shows us here, hey, the game is running at 61 FPS, and that's why we need another program, because Steam can actually not limit the FPS for you. For that, if you have an Nvidia graphics card, you just right click and go to Nvidia control panel here. In the Nvidia control panel, go to the Manage 3D settings, go to Program Settings, and add the Xenia Canary file. Just go to Add, go to Browse, and then find again the Canary exe file here in your desktop. At least it's in desktop for me. You can put the program anywhere you want. That I've edited here, scroll down and go to max frame rate. In the settings, go to on and enter 60. Go to OK, set to 60 and apply. And now the 60 FPS limit is active here for this exe. It can be that you need to restart Xenia. So let's go and launch it again from Steam. You can press F9 if you've already launched Metal Gear Solid 3. And now we can see, now the FPS counter only shows 60 FPS. And that's because we limited Xenia already thanks to the Nvidia control panel. If you have an AMD card, there's also a way for you to do that. Sadly, I cannot cover that in this video here because I do not have an AMD card. You can Google it for yourself, and I trust your capabilities as an AMD user that you can make this limit for yourself. Alright, now that you limited your FPS, you're almost ready to go. But let me show you also how you can set up a Livesplit and the Autosplitter in order to have the timing run automatically when you speedrun Metal Gear Solid 3. So in order to have Livesplit run automatically for you, let's first download it. You can get Livesplit here from livesplit.org. It's a free download, just get it. And then you need additionally also a file here, which is the Xenia Autosplitter, which you can get once again in the Metal Gear Solid 3 Resources. Additionally, I would recommend also that you start with a set of split files. One such split file here I've uploaded for you. This is Metal Gear Solid 3 based on the any % route. Once you have them both downloaded, you can go and extract them onto a folder again here. So you see I have Livesplit 1825 here. Just open it. And I recommend actually making a new folder here for Livesplit. Simply go and select all files and drag them into the folder. Once that is done, you can go in and then open this livesplit.exe file. I would also recommend to make a shortcut and put that shortcut on your desktop. Alright, now you already have your timer here, and you can basically go and just start it right away by clicking here, Control, and hit start. But this would be tedious because you have to start it and stop it manually. So I'm going to show you how you can use the Autosplitter that was developed by Apple. First off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this LSS file. This LSS file is a split file. This basically just means that we have segments where we can measure the time as like sub-segments of the game. So I'm going to use it and drag it and put it in here into Livesplit. You can see here, there we go. It already set to Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, the HD edition EMU or emulator. We can also see like lots of segments here, which have like a few of these minuses in front of them and then special characters. Let's fix that quickly and then add the Autosplitter. For this, just go to Edit Layout. And under Edit Layout, we're going to actually remove the splits. We're going to hit plus, go to List, and then Subsplits. And with the arrow, we can put it on top of the timer. Now we see, the minuses are gone and the special characters are gone too. That is because these special characters are actually controlling how subsplits reacts to the information. What I personally like is actually that I have knowledge about each room that I visit, but I can also see an overview of how I ran this game. So if you go all the way to the end, you can also see like, we also have an overview of many main segments. For example, the byte chase is actually 3 rooms, but as a concept, it's just 1 byte chase. That's why we have subsplits here. The list is complete and tested, so if you were to insert it like this, you can run the game, and the Autosplitter will automatically split through all of these, and at the end you have a correct time. Now that we fixed the subsplits, now we can also add the Autosplitter. For this, go to Plus, go to Control, and go to Scriptable Autosplitter. This Scriptable Autosplitter is basically just loading in the script that somebody else has written, that's reading out your memory, and in the memory finds flags and informations that you can use in order to tell Livesplit, hey, you need to make a new split jump. Simply double click it, and in this you just need to browse it to the file that we have. In my case it's the MGS3 Emulator file. Browse it, go to desktop, and open the MGS3 Emulator ASL file. ASL stands for Auto Scripting Language. Double click it here, wait a second, and you can see that we have new options here and also advanced options. The advanced options you can just leave as is. Have them all checked, because that means it will split for all of these rooms changing. Go to OK. Go to OK. As we can see now, nothing is done. But if we go and start the game and start a new run, by going, for example, new game, very easy. Once the initial load is done, automatically Livesplit will begin and starting the timer for you.
East and west.
It's important that you also check that you have it compare against real time, because this emulator category is actually done in real time, not in IGT. The IGT for this game sadly does not work properly, and that has to do with the vsync update settings. But if I were to go here, I can just go underneath that tree and retrieve my backpack. And we will see that automatically, as soon as I grab my backpack and go to the cutscene, that will also have a split happen here. Or I think it's after the cutscene. So there we go, we just need to hold it. And I'm not touching anything, I only have my hands on the controller and I'm only playing the game. As we skip the cutscene, there we go. The splitter automatically splits over to 𝐵 𝐭𝐞𝐬𝐭 itself. And if I were to leave the room, it will split automatically again. There you go. And that way you can play through the entire game and the Autosplitter will do all the work for you. Alright, then that's everything you need to do in order to play Metal Gear Solid 3 on your PC with the best settings, and also have it run properly for the speedrun categories and have it automatically timed for you. Probably in the future there might be changes to this, so I recommend highly to go to the Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater run, open HD Edition Emulator and check out the rules. There might be changes in the future. Right now Xenia Canary and Xenia Master are listed as allowed, but in the future it might be that only Xenia Canary is allowed because Master actually doesn't use the config file that we provided. It might also be that in the future Livesplit and the Autosplitter are mandatory, but now you know how you can set it up, so that shouldn't be a problem at all. And other than that, good luck, happy running, and of course, put your best times on the board. Thanks for watching.